So South Africa is marking Human Rights Day under the theme, the Year of Renewal, Protecting and Preserving Our Human Gains. This year marks 62 years since the Sharpeville Massacre, where 69 protesting against past laws were killed. Government will mark the day in the small farming town of Koster in the northwest, while various other events are lined up, lined up across the country. Our teams are already on the ground at strategic points. Bafedile, Moerane and Pelane Phakgadi are both covering the main event where President Cyril Ramaphosa will give his address. That's in Koster in the northwest. Tumaole Mohlaoli is covering the Gauteng leg for us in Sharpeville this morning. Bafedile, let's begin with you this morning as we wait at the library that President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to open today. What are residents saying about the other challenges they want the President to address?
Well, in fact, it's all issues of service delivery that they really wish to see the President addressing. But at this point in time, we are at Reagile Library. It's a new library that is going to be opened by President Cyril Ramaphosa. And that speaks to a right to education, which we find on Section 25(1) of the Constitution. And he is here to open it where community members will have to access it freely, and also to use the internet freely, as part of the educational right here in South African Constitution. So quite a number of things that have been highlighted by members of the community here, seeking the President, in fact, to address issues of service delivery, in particular access to clean and potable water, and also the issues of sanitation. We've spent quite some time in this particular area for the past week, where we spoke and engaged community members, having to share those sentiments and frustration to say that really their rights are infringed on because the local authority here, which is the Gauteng local municipality, is indeed failing to fulfill its mandate by ensuring that they do access their human rights, which is water and sanitation, as we know that people have a right to live in a healthy environment. But we'll hear from the President's speech as to what exactly is he saying about that and how he's addressing all these challenges. The community members are really pinning their hope on him and in his speech to say that he must engage the local authorities, and also the Human Rights Commission. It's saying that it has engaged the provincial government on these issues, and they are set to meet anytime soon, after these particular celebrations, to engage further about those issues. Michelle.
Bafedile, thanks very much for that. Let's take you over to Pelane Phakgadi, who's also in Koster in the northwest for us. He's at the Reagile Stadium. That's where the President is set to deliver that main address. And Pelane, of course, that library is a very important initiative in a community like Koster, but it doesn't speak to the other challenges that have been ongoing for many, many years insofar as proper sanitation is concerned there.
Well, human gains, as the President would put it, to preserve it. But here in Koster and other parts of the country, they have not even gained any kind of services, if that is to go by. So, yes, the President will be here delivering the key message here at the Human Rights Day 2022. So we are at the Reagile Sports Ground, as you rightly put it. And I'm just going to be showing you this. This is where the President will be speaking in just a short while. Of course, later on the day, you can see quite a lot of security detail already present within the marquee there. And on the other side, I'm just going to ask my colleague as well, Luyanda, to show you. I think taking services to the people, it is what is very critical. I would like to believe that UIF officers would be here in the Koster area, but they have brought here a bus where they're going to be providing the services. The SASA bus is also here. I'd also like to believe that there are officers, because it's a critical service where people would like to go, and they will be getting the monies that they deserve because of the number of people that live below the poverty line. The Social Development Department is also here, as well as the Department of Health. I'm sure they want to be talking about the vaccination drive in itself and the ways that they can be ramping it up. So all government entities seem to be present here. and of course, all it to say that they are bringing services to the people, but whether or not they are able to bring those services as per the mandate of the Constitution and adhering to the human rights resolution as far as that is concerned, I'm sure that is something that the Human Rights Commission has been trying to talk about and say that their rights of basic people have been trampled on, the basic and inherent services have been trampled upon, the issue around education that Bafedile was talking about, and as well as the issue around water and as well as electricity. Those services, they need to be brought to the people, and I'm sure the President would want to talk about how they're going to be gaining some more as far as the theme is saying, preserving the human gains in the year of 2022 Human Rights Day. Michelle?
Pelane, we've seen it before, haven't we, when the President has visited particular areas to the extent where potholes have been filled in communities to prepare for a visit by President Cyril Ramaphosa. I mean, does this come across to you once again as the province getting its house in order? As you say, all of those important government institutions are there, including SASSA. They're getting their house in order, but only for today, only for Human Rights Day?
Yes, and it's exactly what I was saying earlier, that only one could hope that there is these services on a day-to-day basis. But if people are complaining already, you've heard Bafedile Moerane and the expanded report that she had about the state of the services, the service delivery here in Koster, and that is nothing to be desired on. And talking about the issue around the water, the sewerage spillage, which is seen across the township in itself, and as well as the town, a very small town I could add, but of course having to drive around, you can see that there is issues around potholes, which also remains a huge issue for the people in the area, and as well as just the roads facilities, because I've only had to use one particular road leading into the township of Reagile, the others of which, although they are present on the GPS, but they are untarred. I'd like to believe that those are some of the services that people want the government to bring upon, and not only bring about offices on the days such as these where there is a huge event where the President is going to be addressing, but they have to be on a day-to-day basis so that they can be able to get the much-needed services that they need, the much-needed services that they deserve, and it is their inherent basic human right.
Pelane Phakgadi, thanks very much indeed. He and Bafedile Moerane live to us there in Koster in the northwest. The other leg of the human rights commemorations is happening, in fact, in Sharpeville, the day that this is dedicated to. Tumaole Mohlaoli is monitoring the Gauteng provincial government and the PAC's event in Sharpeville. And Tumaole, there's been some already very early this morning, some incredible scenes in terms of this commemoration kicking off there this morning.
Well, absolutely, Michelle. I can step out of shot just to let you know that those scenes continue. As you can see, the various liberation organizations represented, including the PAC as well as AZAPO members commemorating here. A very dramatic display of what happened as some youngsters reenacted what happened earlier. I'm now joined by Mr. Nelvis Kakema, who is president of AZAPO. Why is it important to commemorate this day, and why here specifically?
It is terribly important that we commemorate this day. Remember that 62 years ago, here, 69 people died. And they died when it was raining. And today, again, it is raining. So history is making its own reminder. So it becomes important that we do what we are doing, because we are doing this as a struggle against forgetting. We are doing this as a struggle against the erasure of history. We are doing this as a struggle against historical revision. So that is why in us in AZAPO, we call this day by its own name, the Sharpeville Massacre Day, the Sharpeville Day. We are not trying to beat about the bush about this day, because these people died because they were demanding their land. These people died because they were saying this country is Azania. These people died because they were fighting to repossess their own land and restore their own dignity and humanity as a people.
Right. Right. And as a ZAPO, do you think you've done enough to ensure that the struggle for the securing of land, as the people were fighting for, is realized? After all these years of democratic dispensation, we still see people don't have access to land.
Well, you will remember that the Black Consciousness Movement, under the leadership of Steve Biko, and then we fall in that fold as a ZAPO. We are the people who revived the struggle. When the ANC and the PAC were banned in 1960, we reignited the fires. We were young people at that stage as teenagers and in their 20s. So that's how great we have done as this movement of Biko, to an extent that we were able to push the struggle towards June 16. The June 16 uprising in 1976, that's our contribution. But when you talk about whether the land has returned to its own to its rightful owners, no, not yet, because about 72% of farmers, and I'm talking about commercial farmers in this country that produce food and everything, food security, is still under white people. For black people, there's nothing. It's only garden and small things, small patches. So the land is still not yet back. That struggle still carries on. That struggle still goes on.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Nelvis. That was Nelvis Kekema, the president of ZAPO, just giving us an overview of the importance, the significance, and the current struggle for ZAPO and others when Sharpeville Massacre is remembered here in Sharpeville. With that, it's back to the studio.
Well, don't go away just yet, Tumaole. A struggle against forgetting. That's what your guest had to say. There's such an incredibly powerful line on a day like today, for people in South Africa, people who perhaps are in Gauteng today, who want to take part in the commemorations taking place. Can they just show up there today?
Well, unfortunately, they cannot just show up, Michelle. People would have had to have registered to attend the commemorative event. However, what the Gauteng provincial government is saying is that there will be two legs to the commemorative event, one here at the cemetery in Sharpeville, and then there will also be a symbolic commemorative event not far from here where a monument has been erected. There again, of course, the numbers will be restricted, but people can go to these various events or various locations after the official programs are done to basically remember what has happened. And I'm told by members of the PAC, ZAPO, and others who are here that the community here is very well versed in what has happened historically and are willing to share their stories with those who would want to come and pay their respects.
Yeah, Tumaole Mohlaoli, thanks very much indeed. Incredibly important event taking place there. A struggle against forgetting.